It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson, only on 610 CHTM.
Hello and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Jaret Schneider, and joining me by phone today is Mayor Tim Johnston. Good morning, Mayor Johnston. Good morning, Mayor Johnston. Good morning, Mayor Johnston.
Good morning.
There we go. First off, I'll give you the first minute to run things down from the past week.
Well, just a couple things to update people on. Last Friday, the City of Thompson hosted our annual employee recognition barbecue where we recognized employees for long service, and it was a great event. The weather was nice. Opportunity to extend our appreciation to, as I always say, our greatest resource, which is our people. And so I was happy to be joined by Councillor Collada, Chair of HR, as well as Councillor Beyer, to extend our appreciation to our employees. Obviously, over the weekend, the weather was great, and a number of events took place, so I was pleased to be out and about and around the community. Monday, we had a regular meeting of council, and a number of items were discussed, although the majority of the council was taken up in terms of delegations and presentations, which was very much appreciated. Shows how busy the community is. And then right now I am in Winnipeg. Yesterday I attended the University of Winnipeg meeting on Northern Economic Development. They're doing some work alongside the province of Manitoba on a new development strategy for the North. So I was happy not only just to attend, but also to present at the meetings with respect to the work that has been done on the Aboriginal Accord, as well as the Thompson Economic Diversification Working Group. So those are some of the events that we've been busy with at the City of Thompson over the last week. I'm sure people have seen our crews out and about the community. We have both public works with regards to the construction crews doing sidewalk curb repair replacement, as well as the crews out doing street sweeping. That continues. And then, of course, recreation is into the full summer mode in terms of mowing and general maintenance of the grounds in and around the community.
204-677-8181. Now, with Nickel Days here coming up here just a week away now, what are some of the plans for the weekend and for the big event?
Well, I can tell you this, and this is probably one of the busiest times we have as a community throughout the year, starting with June 21st, National Aboriginal Day. We'll have 11 days of celebrations in and around the community. So, as I said, we kick it off June 21st. Then we have Nickel Days immediately following, or during that time as well, with a number of events. Of course, the Midway will be back, and the National King Miner Contest sponsored by the United Steelworkers, and then a number of stage shows and events that Nickel Days is hosting themselves. Nickel Days will be back at the Thompson Regional Community Center. They've worked hard along with the City of Thompson to look at how it's positioned to ensure we can address some of the parking issues and traffic flow issues from last year, and I'm fairly confident we're going to be able to do that. And then we continue with a number of different community events, including graduations and ultimately Canada Day on July the 1st. So the next couple of weeks are going to be very busy. Encourage people to get out and enjoy the events and enjoy what we've been experiencing, which is some great weather in northern Manitoba.
204-677-8181. Now tell us, where on the rec center grounds will the rides in the Midway be set up, and will it be a little bit similar to last year at all?
It will be somewhat similar to last year, except that the entranceways, as I understand it, will be different. Most of the traffic will be coming in alongside the Gordon Beard Arena, which was traditionally the way the entrance was, and then the Midway, as I understand it, will be set up in the TRCC North parking lot, so people will be coming in along the GB, walking behind the arenas. They'll have access to the both arenas in terms of some of the events going on there, and then coming around to the Midway. So I'm pleased that a lot of work's been done to set that up. In addition, the United Steelworkers will be holding the National King Miner Contest right at the end of the Gordon Beard Arena. So I really like that, because as people will come in and move through the Nickel Days event, they'll get a chance to see and participate in just about everything.
204-677-8181. We have the mayor on the phone taking your calls. 204-677-8181. Now, we know parking is an issue at the rec center grounds when there are such busy events. Has the city made any plans for where the public can park besides the lot at R.D. Parker? And will there be any signs to indicate available parking, especially with with a lot of out-of-town visitors coming in for Nickel Days?
Well, absolutely. So there's a number of things that we're going to be doing as a community. Nickel Days, obviously, will have some signage in and around the facility. In addition, the City of Thompson will be offering free transit during that the period of Nickel Days. And we are advancing in terms of the work on the permanent sort of positioning of parking lots and things like that. So I think that just the progression over last year in terms of some of the construction at that site will assist us. But certainly, yes, we're working with Nickel Days to try and make sure that people are aware of where they can park and any of the opportunities to get to the event without necessarily having to drive.
204-677-8181. Now, you mentioned you are down in Winnipeg for the Conference on Northern Development. Maybe get into some detail about how that went and some of the things that came up in that and during the process.
Well, I thought it was very good. It was a unique experience because they did it by teleconference out of the main Winnipeg site, but they had people hooked in from Yellowknife, from Ottawa, from Toronto, from the United States, from Vancouver, as well as here in the province from Churchill, DePaul, and Winnipeg. Unfortunately, the site in Thompson did not work, and that was unfortunate because I think some Thompson organizations didn't have an opportunity to participate via that means. But from my perspective, I think it was well worth it. It was a good discussion. One of the things that the point that was made that I thought was very important is that there's a number of different initiatives taking place with respect to northern development. And I think that there's a real need to coordinate that. The province of Manitoba is looking at moving forward with a new version of the Northern Development Strategy. Obviously, Thompson has done the Thompson Economic Diversification Working Group. MKO has and is producing some work on economic development, as well as the Manitoba Chambers are doing some work on economic development in the north. And I think one of the real points is there has to be some synergies between those. And in addition, I think it's absolutely critical, and we learned this through the Tedwig process, that for any economic development strategy or plan to be successful, you have to engage industry. You have to engage business as a part of that plan. And I thought that that was a very positive message that came through loud and clear yesterday at the event. My hope is that in terms of next steps, the University of Winnipeg will work cooperatively with the University College of the North in terms of pursuing some of the research and some of the coordination to likely bring together some of those players I just mentioned to start to coordinate. But at the end of the day, the province has a goal to deliver a new updated version of the Northern Development Strategy, and I think that's where the focus needs to be. I did mention and the willingness of the City of Thompson and our Tedwig partners to contribute the work that we've done, because I made the point that there is no point reinventing the wheel. So let's use some of the really good work that has been done. And so I was pleased with the event, and I was very pleased that Council had the wisdom to ensure that the City of Thompson was at that table. And the response to our, as I said, the Aboriginal Accord and the Tedwig process was very favorably from all stakeholders that were present.
204-677-8181. Now, the Tedwig project and the place branding strategy are almost wrapped up now. You could say they are somewhat in the home stretch. Looking back on the whole 2-year process now, are you happy with the way things went?
Absolutely. I think that, in my opinion, it is right at the leading edge of collaborative approaches to economic development in this country. I think it'll be a best practice. And that's because of the ability, one, to engage the stakeholders that we had, which are the major players in our area in terms of both organizational governance as well as industry. And I think the other one that for me really is one of the true accomplishments was being able to get those people to the table, different organizations, and have a real solid discussion with concrete action plans to move forward with. All too often you go through these types of processes and you see a nice fancy book produced that tells you you have to keep meeting and doing things like that. What we've produced are real actions that can be implemented, and you know what? The amazing result of that is we're going to continue to communicate and dialogue. So I think we did it the right way. I'm very pleased. And lastly, the key to it was engaging the community. There was more consultations, more community meetings than I've ever seen with a process, and I think that lends itself to the credibility. I said you and I had the conversation Monday night on the branding. At the end of the day, the brand that's going to be produced is not the brand that the City of Thompson Mayor and Council have said. It's the brand that the community has made very clear. That's how people in our community see us. That's how they want to see us. And I think that's the important thing, is that we involved all the correct stakeholders. They came to the table willingness, and then we went to the community engaged residents as well.
204-677-8181. Now we have a question coming in, and the question is from a caller. I live close to the new condo development in Southwood. Garbage has been lying around from the construction for 2 years now, and they're wondering who can they contact to have it removed.
Well, they fall in the right place. I'll ensure that I get in touch with our city manager and convey that it needs some attention, and we'll take care of that. But I do want to note that when people do have concerns, 677-7910 is the number for the City of Thompson. I encourage people to give Gary Sepatelli or myself as mayor. My direct number at City Hall is 677-7920. And we appreciate that. In most cases where items relate to specific areas, whether it's public works, recreation, enforcement, I'd encourage people to contact the department head. But I appreciate when people take the time to phone the City of Thompson, because what it says to me is that they care. And I've said all along, our biggest job at the city is to make sure that people understand we also care. So I appreciate when people take the time to make us aware of those things, and it's our job to follow up on them.
Now we have one more question, and the question is, there are a lot of near accidents on the corner of Cree and Thompson. Has anyone looked into installing a left turn light signal at the intersection?
Interesting. I know that through the Public Safety Committee as well as Public Works, they do deal with intersections and traffic lights and things like that. I know we are making some changes. I believe Thompson Drive North and Nelson Road, where we're installing a left lane or right lane only turn. So I appreciate that, and I don't believe there's been any consideration of that, but I certainly can bring it to the attention of the two committees and see if they can look into it.
204-677-8181. But before we go, I'll give you the final minute to wrap things up for the week ahead.
Well, again, I would just encourage people to get out and enjoy the weather. Fortunately, we got a little rain. You're not going to hear me say that an awful lot, but we were extremely dry in the north, and we know that there have been some communities that have had to been evacuated because of the dry, hot weather. So a little bit of rain was appreciated over the last few days, but it looks like the weather is going to get real nice again, so I encourage people to get out, get active. This is the time of year to enjoy everything we have to offer, and again, just to encourage safe operations in and around our crews, and in all honesty, in anything that people do, because safety first, and wish everyone an enjoyable week.
And that will do it for City Beat this week. I would like to thank Mayor Tim Johnston for joining me by phone today. Don't forget to tune in every Thursday at 11:30 for more insight into your city and a chance to ask our mayor more questions. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at